Hi, this is Tisch Aitken, and it is November 12th, 2021, and we are in eclipse season. We're also in Scorpio season. And yesterday I was trying to work on doing the December horoscopes because that's not that far, it's right around the corner, the last month of the year, and we are in eclipse season where so much is happening. And eclipses are always a very pivotal time in our lives. Major life events can occur. People can begin major journeys. They can take on a new job. They can move. They can get news that changes their life altogether. Eclipses are like wild cards. They can definitely bring dramatic events. Sometimes we know it's been building up and it's just the boiling point and it brings change. It can feel very pressured, where you're just running around in different directions. But we're also in the new age of Aquarius, and Jupiter, which expands the energy, among other things, is going to remain in Aquarius until December 28th. So that's not that much longer. And Aquarius is ruled by two rulers. Saturn is the ancient ruler, but Uranus is the modern, and that's what most people equate Aquarius with the upheaval, the tumult, the non-conformism of Aquarius, of Uranus, of the brilliance, innovation, and futuristic thinking that Uranus also embodies. And so that energy is rampant. And last week we had a new moon in Scorpio that occurred on November 4th at 12 degrees and 40 minutes of the fixed water sign of Scorpio. And this this new moon set off the eclipse season officially, although we feel the build up a month beforehand. But officially, that's the last new moon or a full moon before the eclipses, which always come in pairs. So we're going to have a partial lunar eclipse, which is almost a total lunar eclipse, on November 19th at 3:57 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at 27 degrees and 14 minutes of the fixed earth sign of Taurus. Taurus is a sign that is centered on stability and predictability and comforts and resources. It's a very patient sign that moves slowly. Eclipse time is anything but. It's a time of unrest often. The ancients used to fear the eclipses because they thought that they were portents of difficult times and very ominous, and they would look at the the nation's leader, how it impacted the leader of that nation and how it affected the people. Eclipses bring things to light. They make us see things in a way we never have before. I'll give one example. I remember one day, this is a few years back, it was a solar eclipse and I was trying to get a ride across town. I was in Manhattan. I was trying to go from the west side to the east side. I had an appointment and I was late and I could not get a cab. I should have gotten mass transit earlier, but I was running late, so there you go. And I could not get a car, and finally this guy came by on a motorcycle, and I just trusted my instinct. They said, okay, eclipses, wacky things can happen on eclipses. And he had a helmet or whatever, yeah, I guess a helmet. And I went across New York and I saw through the cabs and cars that were driving. I made I made eye contact with the drivers, which normally when I'm a passenger, if you're going across the city, you're not doing that. So I was looking into the cars and the cabs and seeing it in a very different light, and seeing the city, my city, in a really different light, being free flowing, going through with a helmet, but still nonetheless. And so it made me see everything in a different light and do something I wouldn't normally do. But again, I thought, okay, it's an eclipse, I'll go with it. And the guy was luckily a normal guy that just took me across town. He was going that way, and that was fine, and I got there safely. So I wouldn't recommend taking rides with strangers on eclipses, but it is an example of seeing things in a different light. And Scorpio season is really emotionally intense, and we have Mars is transiting in Scorpio right now. It entered on October 30th, and it will be there until December 13th. It's in its dignity, but it can be very ferocious while in Scorpio. And last week we had a new moon, as I mentioned, that had Mercury was still in Libra. It hadn't quite yet exited its shadow, or it just had exited its shadow, but it hadn't left Libra yet. And it was conjunct Mars out of sign, which can bring a lot of intensity. And Mars in Scorpio is unstoppable, like a dog after a bone. It's fierce, it's tenacious. There is a lot of fixed energy right now. People can be very inflexible and stubborn, but the other part of fixed energy is following through with projects, having the patience to do something, being loyal, being tenacious, not holding your ground, not giving up. And Mars in Scorpio gives you the courage to empower yourself. It can be mean sometimes, so be wary of that energy with it. And the new moon that set off the eclipse season right now opposed Uranus just about an hour after the new moon. So that's a big deal because it gives a very Uranian energy to the new moon. Expect the unexpected. Uranus is the planet of surprise, of ingenuity, but it also, just like eclipses, can be like that wild card energy. And this week, as we build up, we are building up now to this partial lunar eclipse on November 19th that occurs at 3:57 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 27 degrees and 14 minutes of the fixed earth sign of Taurus, a sign of comfort and stability. And we're all swimming and navigating very emotional, stormy Scorpio waters, and knowing that that energy is palpable for everybody. And if it hits you directly, you can look up your chart. If you know your time of birth, there are several sites where you can get your free chart. And an example would be Cafe Astrology or astro.com, and there are several others. Plug in your info, see what area of your chart it falls in. If you don't know that much about it, look up what that means. If it falls in your house of career, if it falls in your house of relationships, that's where you're experiencing culmination. That was where you're experiencing change, realization. Eclipses wake us up and they shake us up. And sometimes we've been resisting it. Well, with all this fixed energy, kind of makes you do it in a way, even if you are resisting. And at the time of the lunar eclipse, let's see, the sun and moon are going to be opposing one another. The sun in the fixed water sign of Scorpio, opposite the moon in Taurus. Mercury and Mars will both be in the sign of Scorpio. So 3 planets in fixed water, very emotional energy. So although we seek stability with the full moon in Taurus, and the moon is exalted in Taurus, it's very beautiful. It's ruled by Venus. Venus has its own story right now because in these deep, dark Scorpio waters, Venus is now retrograde. Venus, it's not retrograde yet, but it's in Capricorn. It's going to clear, it's going to enter its shadow rather on November 17th, meaning that it gets to the degree at which it stations direct on January 29th. Venus entered Capricorn on the day after the new moon on November 5th, and it will retrograde on December 19th at 26 degrees and 19 minutes of the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn. This sets off where Pluto, the planet of death and regeneration, the ruler of the sign of Scorpio, Pluto stationed retrograde at 26 degrees of Capricorn in April of this year. Venus and Pluto are going to meet up 3 times together rather. They're going to meet up on December 11th, December 25th, and on March 2nd. and Venus will remain in Capricorn until March 6th of next year. It'll be there 4 months in total, which is a big deal. And Venus in Capricorn is about, Venus is the ruler of this lunar eclipse. What are you eliminating because a full moon eclipse releasing in order to achieve what you need to do to get going in your goals? Capricorn is a cardinal sign, very goal oriented. It can be status oriented definitely as well. If you want to build your image, if you're rebuilding your image, the structures in your life, what are your values? Venus rules your value. Hopefully it's not just the superficial image, more about rebuilding, again, what has meaning to you, how you earn your money, your relationships, your friendships, your relationship with self, and certainly with others. The eclipses are going to be in the Taurus Scorpio axis for another couple of years. And the nodes of fate will change signs on January 18th of next year. The nodes will exit the Sagittarius Gemini axis, which is about gathering and dispersing information and media and publicity. And they're going to enter the Scorpio Taurus axis, which is about stability, money, intimacy, and those are the areas where the nodes of fate are going to be centered and where the eclipses are going to be centered. So you want to know where the Scorpio is in your chart. What house is that? Where is the Taurus in your chart? That is where you're experiencing transformation and change. Eclipses bring change and they make things happen, and it can feel very pressured. And yesterday I was in so many different directions, probably the Uranian energy too, because over the weekend, Mercury, which is the planet of information and rules the North Node in Gemini, it rules where North Node is transiting right now. Gemini, about gathering and dispersing information, about marketing and working locally. Mercury, I just lost my train of thought with that, or what Mercury was doing, but I had a good idea on that, but I'm not going to lose track on that. So we are all trying to figure out where we're going with this, and Mercury is now in the fixed water sign of Scorpio. It will be there until November 24th. Very good at getting to the bottom of things and doing research. Oh, I know. I was going to say that Mercury will oppose Uranus tomorrow at 10:57 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on November 13th. And this ignites the new moon from November 4th, because Uranus is currently at the opposite sign at 12 degrees of the fixed water sign, fixed earth sign of Taurus, the sign where the lunar eclipse will occur. And Uranus is in its detriment in Taurus, or its fall position, because supposedly exalted in Scorpio, which is about other people's resources. It's a little more difficult because Uranus is so erratic and unpredictable, like this eclipse time, and Taurus is a very centered energy. It's a slow, sensuous, not rapid fixed change like Uranus and Aquarius. But we have to face the fact that right now the emotions are intense. We're building up to a very powerful lunar eclipse. It's the longest eclipse in 1,000 years since February 18th of 1440. It's going to be 3 hours and 28 minutes, which is a huge deal. And so it's going to be really intense, but next week leading up to it. So over the weekend, we have Mercury opposing Uranus. That could bring innovation and insight, with Mercury in the keen placement of Scorpio, really seeing below the surface. Could get interesting news over the weekend or in the next couple of days. Could give you solutions. Could be good for networking and bringing a fresh new energy, because Uranus is futuristic. And then on Monday, November 15th, Venus squares Chiron, the wounded healer, and that could augment the wounds in order to heal, but also bring energy around that. And the sun in Scorpio squares Jupiter in Aquarius at 2:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that can augment the intensity of Scorpio. And even the lunar eclipse on November 19th is going to make a square to Jupiter, expanding the emotions and the intensity. On November 16th, the sun forms a helpful sextile to Pluto, which is the planet of empowerment and transformation, the ruler of Scorpio, the phoenix rising above the ashes, the sign of metamorphosis. And that is a positive energy as we get closer to this. On November 17th, Mars opposes Uranus at 12:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, setting off where Mercury will be tomorrow on Saturday the 13th, setting off where the new moon was on November 4th. Mars and Uranus, when they clash, that can be much more challenging. It can be combative, pugnacious energy. So lay low with that. I think it's more exciting on the 13th, and the new moon may have definitely brought endings for people. I know it did, because that opposition is I versus thou, but it also brought in a renewed sense of energy for a lot of people as well. You'll be running around feeling like you're in many different directions. You probably already are, but try, if you're able, to tap into the excitement. This is said by somebody that could not get anything done the day before, and then I just kind of surrendered yesterday. I got some things done, and today I feel a refreshed approach to it. And you know, again, no matter where the eclipses fall and what's happening, there is a sense of exaggeration and excitement and a heightened sense of having to do things, a lot of change in a very short period of time, feeling like you have to get things done. And with fixed energy, you can feel stuck. And so let me enumerate. We've got Mercury, the Mars, and the Sun all transiting in Scorpio. A fixed water sign, very fixed emotions. Uranus is transiting in the sign of Taurus, fixed earth. Uranus is the sign, the great awakener. It's the sign of ingenuity and chaos. It's the opposite sign of Taurus. The lunar eclipse will have the sun in Taurus, fixed earth, the moon rather, and then Saturn, which is how we anchor our goals, and Jupiter, how we expand and magnetize good fortune, are in fixed air, in the fixed air sign of Aquarius. Jupiter is about to leave on December 28th and will enter the mutable water sign of Pisces, where it will be on and off in 2022. But it is in Aquarius, fixed air. This is a very fixed energy. So some of you may feel like I did yesterday. You have a lot to do, but you feel like you just feel just so blocked by the energy. And then you may get going on something and you can't stop working, and that may come in waves. And I think it's the energy right now. And eclipses come in pairs. So know that there's going to be a final eclipse in Sagittarius. There will be a total solar eclipse on December 4th at 12 degrees and 22 minutes of the mutable fire sign of Sag. And that's a sign of optimism and higher learning and manifesting and teaching and publicity. And I will do more about that when I'm able to sit down and even look at it. But, you know, this is a big time for all of us. If you are an Aquarius, Jupiter's going to leave your sign pretty soon. So try to use this energy as much as you can. The South Node is answering, Jupiter's answering the South Node, which is in Sag. So maybe there's certain things you need to release in the process. And for all of us collectively, this is a huge time. It is Scorpio season. And there's a lot of loss right now. And I've noticed that really since the second half of October. We had the Pluto station. We had 4 planets stationed direct in October. And Pluto rules the sign of Scorpio. And with Venus already entering its shadow, you know, meaning the degree it stations direct on January 29th. It's going to station at 11 degrees and 4 minutes of Capricorn. This also is answering to Saturn, which is about, it could represent endings or limitations and the challenges of the last few years when Saturn was actually in Capricorn. So an intense eclipse season. Try to ground yourself, meditate, journal. In the sign of Taurus, which this lunar eclipse will be, creative things like outlets, whether it's painting or journaling or listening to music, a walk in nature. Taurus rules Mother Earth. Listening to music, Venus rules Taurus. I associate Pisces more with music, but Taurus certainly. I know a lot of people, a lot of Tauruses are very into music, especially Moon and Taurus. So that's a great way. Anything it is for you, creativity and beauty come in so many different forms, but also knowing that Mars is opposite Uranus in this lunar eclipse. And I cast the chart for Washington, D.C. Now, the thing to bear in mind is that on the day, so on November 18th, let's see, so we've got the 17th, Mars opposes Uranus, and then Mercury trines Neptune at 10:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the day of the eclipse, and then Venus, which is the ruler of the sign of Taurus, and also the sign of the chart ruler, because I cast the chart for Washington, D.C. It's got Libra ascendant. Sorry, I lost my train of thought on that one. Oh yeah, Venus trines Uranus at 10:08 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on November 18th, and Mercury trines Venus. Now I'm losing that too. I believe Venus trines Neptune before that too, but it definitely trines Uranus, and then on the following day at 10:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there's beautiful creative energy and very innovative. Venus Uranus can bring unexpected windfalls, unexpected financial, romantic, and social gains. And so this is nice energy for all of us. So I wish you a lot of luck and good luck with everything. And yeah, it is Mercury trining Neptune. I had to just, because the sun trines Neptune today. So also good for manifesting and tapping into the dream, which you need to do when there is going to be a lot of loss. And this lunar eclipse sets off where Saturn was approximately in the summer of 2015. It's stationed in the opposite sign. It's stationed in Scorpio at 28 degrees of Scorpio, and this lunar eclipse opposes that degree. So if you're born around the 19th or 20th of the fixed signs, so Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, if you're around the 19th or 20th of your respective months, the late degrees, you will feel this energy. We will all feel this energy. I wish you a lot of luck, and thank you very much. Take care.